Hey there, and welcome back to the Mini Weekend. I'm your host, Jack. Get into it, Mini. Drink of the podcast. What did we go with tonight? We went with Liquid Death's, it's called Cheery Obituary. And before we get too much into that, I want to give a quick shout out to the Mini Weekend listener, fan that reached out to me about Liquid Death. They actually asked me, they said, Jack, did you know that Liquid Death came out with colas? And I said, no, I didn't. I need to get one and try one for this podcast. Unfortunately, they reached out just last night, so I didn't have much time to look for it. I couldn't find it, but I found one at the store that I hadn't tried before, so we went with that. Jack, you said that you were going to put people, shout people out, post their stuff here for recommendations and questions. I did. However, this person did not tell me their name, and their screen name was a little inappropriate for my liking to shout them out on the podcast. So thank you very much for reaching out and telling me that they came out with colas, and I will definitely have to try them out. If you get my message, send me a message back with your name, and I will make sure to get you shouted out next time on next week's podcast. But yeah, went with the Cherry Obituary, and I'm kind of in the middle about it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. For those that have been weekly listeners, I am a huge cherry fan. Love cherry flavored drinks, but this just isn't. I don't know. I expected a little bit more flavor. It almost has tartness to it as it goes down the palate, and like a lot of you guys know, not a huge fan of tart drinks. Again, kind of in the middle with it. So Liquid Death, for those that maybe don't know or don't remember, Liquid Death was started by two skaters out in California a while back, who used to drink and then have been sober now for a while and wanted to create a drink that had a drink with a can that looked like they were drinking alcohol, but weren't. They essentially got sick and tired of people asking them why they weren't drinking and all that stuff, and decided they wanted to come up with a drink that they could bring to parties and stuff like that, without people being too nosy, for lack of better words. Love their stuff. Like I said, this is our sixth drink of theirs we've tried, and per the follower fans recommendation, they did come out with kind of sodas. They're still branding. If you look on the website, it's just liquiddeath.com. They're branded as their flavored sparkling waters. I personally, I'm kind of labeling them as their sodas, but they got Killer Cola, which is in a cool blue can, kind of a little bit similar to their iced tea Dead Billionaire. If you've had that one, they have a Dr. Death, which I'm assuming that is kind of like their version of Dr. Pepper. And then Rip Your Wrath. Then they also have this Psycho Cider that came out that, truthfully, between these four, that was the one I wanted to try first. It says on their website that this is a limited edition only. And weirdly enough, it says limited edition just in time for fall. So could be for a while, not really sure, but you can definitely go on there and check it out. Like I said, just liquiddeath.com. It's super cool. They sell all their stuff on Amazon, which is really simple and easy. Some of them you can get at Target, and if you don't know where they are, you can actually store locator just like everybody else. They got some cool merch and a lot of fun different things too. They have their own mountain water line, flavored sparkling waters, like I said, iced teas, and then they have death dusts, which is essentially like liquid IVs or like meals. It's essentially just like the packs that you can pour into your water to make it taste like it instead of actually buying the can too. So go check them out, liquiddeath.com. You can also find them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. But yeah, wrapping it up, I'm gonna go 5. I'm gonna go 5-1. I'm gonna give it a little bit of edge over the middle because, again, it is cherry. This is something I would drink again, but not something I would go out of my way to get. Like if I was at a store and I was debating between this and a couple other flavors, I would get a couple other flavors that I haven't tried before, and a couple other flavors that I have tried before that I really did like. So I think 5.1 is and that's what we got for our drink of the podcast for you guys. So we're going to ramble on here a little bit. I know I'm going to start off by saying there's not a ton of Tommytown news for this week. There is one team that I wanted to talk primarily about, and we are going to get to that. But contrary to what I just said, there is some things that came out this last week for our beloved Tommy team. So earlier in the week, it was actually announced that Liam Malmquist, after his second straight week of being a CCHA Player of the Week, is being nominated or is named a nominee for the Hobie Baker Memorial Award. So a huge congratulations to him. He is one of more than 90 students athletes nominated in phase one of the award process. The Hobie Baker Award is awarded annually to the top NCAA men's hockey player in the nation. The award criteria includes candidates exhibiting the exceptional character traits of the award's namesake, Hobie Baker, a legendary American hero. Award candidates must demonstrate strength of character both on and off the ice, contribute to the integrity of his team, and display outstanding skills in all phases of the game. Consideration should be given to scholastic achievement and sportsmanship as well. So huge congratulations to Liam. In his second season with the Tommies, he's off to a historic start. The Edina native set program records with 32 points after his 11th multi-point game of the season last weekend. He leads the CCHA in assists and points and is top 4 in the nation as well in both categories. The senior is also the NCAA leader in shorthanded goals with 3 this season, and he has been named a CCHA Forward of the Week for the last 2 weeks and has run his season-long point streak to 6 games during the Tommy's program best 6-game unbeaten streak. So once again, a huge congratulations to him. I apologize for that. The first phase of fan balloting runs through March 10th. Fans can cast their votes daily by going to Hobie Baker Award website. You can actually find the link if you go to TommySports. Find your way to the hockey team, and it is posted on that. Following the conclusion of Phase 1, the list of players will be narrowed to top 10, and then that announcement will be made on March 19th. Phase 2 voting on the top 10 will take place from the 19th to the 30th, and then the award will be presented on April 11th during the NCAA Frozen Four Championship in St. Louis, Missouri. So once again, a huge congratulations to him. He's been playing outstanding this year and is very deserving of even being a top 90 player to be nominated for this award. So huge congratulations to him. And like we just talked about, 6-game unbeaten streak has put the Tommies right back into the thick of things as far as CCHA standings go. They still have a little bit of work to do, as this year it's based off of points percentage instead of points, which is kind of bullshit. It makes sense because it says, it explains to us, it says, due to Augustana playing fewer conference games than the rest of the league as they transition into the CCHA, the regular season standings will be determined by points percentage. The team's points percentage evaluated by total points are divided by games played times 3, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion, because Augustana with points percentage 667%, but they only have 20 points, and if you go based off of points, they only have more points than one other team, so they really should be 8th instead of 2nd, which by that standard would put the Tommies at 1, 2, 3. We'd be in 4th place instead of 6th. But like I said, we're right in the thick of things. Lake Superior State is right above us at 500. We have a 463 points percentage. All we can just do is onward and upward. The men's hockey team this upcoming weekend after splitting this last weekend with Bemidji State, will be going to Mankato for a game against the Mavericks. Friday night's game will be at 7:07, and then Saturdays will be at, and the Mavericks are currently number 15 in the nation, so not only would it be awesome points-wise, but also national recognition-wise as well. So good luck to them as they get ready for that. And then as for the women's team, it was announced this last week, just 3 days ago, that Bethany Bronson was named the women's hockey head coach. Essentially, the interim part of the head coach was released, as she was the interim coach for 12 games after Joel Johnston resigned from the position. So a huge congratulations to her. It came off of her leading the team to its first sweep against a top 5 program this past weekend. and has been playing a very, very incredible role in the Tommy's Division I transition, especially in the WCHA. And she's kind of been around and had some really good coaching experience. It says here she joined, she was an assistant at the University of Minnesota, joined the coaching staff in the 2016-2017 season after competing for the Gophers from 2010 to 2014. She also had stops not only at the University of Minnesota, but at Breck High School, Minnesota Elite League, OS Hockey in Roseville, Minnesota. She also has ties to the NHL, and in the summer of 23, she joined the Boston Bruins development camp coaching staff as part of the NHL Coaches Association Diversity Guest Coach programs. Once again, a huge congratulations to her. It's hopefully this team can really solidify their identity coming down the stretch here as they complete the season here. Obviously, there's not much games left. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games left, and 2 of those series are against top teams in the nation. They're currently getting ready to play a home-and-home series with the St. Cloud State Huskies. Friday's game will be at 3, Saturdays at 2 p.m. So best of luck to them. And then no real news as far as the basketball teams are concerned. The men's team this last week, 1-1. They lost their first Summit League game to Omaha. 2-1. They lost their first one to Omaha and then had back-to-back wins against the Kansas City Roos and Oral Roberts. And this hot start to the season has got St. Thomas tied for first in Summit League standings. They're currently tied with Omaha, the only team that's beaten them in the Summit League. So huge for them. It'll be interesting coming down the stretch to see what they can do here. And especially with this for the basketball team, for this being their last season that they're ineligible and being eligible to make a March Madness potentially next season, huge. So I can't wait to see how this program continues to grow too as well. And then for the women's team, the only real news we have here is head coach Ruth Sin earned her 400th career win over Denver, earlier in the week when the Tommies got back even on the season, 10-10 and 2-5 in Summit League play. She is the first coach in program history to hit that mark. She currently has a record of 400 wins and 152 losses, which is incredible. She joins former St. Thomas coaches Steve Fritz, Dennis Denning, and John Tishta, and current volleyball coach Tan Pham as the only coaches in department history to win 400 career games in their programs. So really, really unbelievable that she's been able to have this this kind of winning streak and winning program for so long. It's a testament to the hard work that she brings to this girls team and also her longevity, no doubt, too. So huge congratulations to them. But then the main team I want to talk about, this Minnesota Golden Gophers team. I was talking their basketball team. I was talking to one of my co-workers this last week, just in terms of the Golden Gophers usually always doing a really good job of doing solid in non-conference play and then just completely shitting the bed and having to, win games down the stretch and in key times during the final parts of the season and making a run in the Big Ten championship to even be considered to be a team. I still think they have a long shot to make it. We're currently 15th still in the Big Ten standings, but this is a team that started 0-7 in Big Ten play, and then in our 0-6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 0-6 in their last 4-6 in their last 4 games. They're 3-1. It started off with them beating at the time the number 20th ranked Michigan with a last second buzzer beater, 84-81. They beat Iowa. Iowa hasn't had by their standards a great year either, but you look at teams like when you're the Gophers, like, regardless of how they're doing, you want to beat the Iowas, you want to beat Wisconsin's. Like, those are your rivals, whether they're really amazing or really shitty. Those are teams you want to beat. So being able to get that, and then they went up against the number 15th ranked team, Oregon, beat them. Unfortunately, a couple nights ago, they lost to Michigan State for the second time. This year. And ultimately a poor first half shooting appearance bit them in the ass as they went into halftime down 20. In the second half, they obviously made a bit of a push, but obviously dug themselves too big of a hole to really make too much happen. So it'll be interesting to see what this team can, do going down the stretch as we get closer to March Madness. It blows my mind that we're only 48 days away from March Madness. It's insane to me. I guess 50 or 48 days. A lot of people seem to think, and a lot of people count down to when first round starts. I think those first four games are just as, maybe not just as important, but just as exciting to watch as any other games. So it's actually 48 days until March 18th when the first four get underway, and 50 days from now until the first round starts. So whichever you choose, 48 days for me. 48 days for me. So they have some big, games coming up here with an opportunity to win a couple more. Like I said, we're 16th. We're hosting Washington right now, who is 18th. Penn State, who has the same record as us. And then, Illinois, who's pretty decent this year. And then USC, who by their standards is not having a great year. So they have an opportunity here to win a handful of games and make things interesting going into the end of the season. But yeah, still crazy to think we, on a scheme of things, are not that far away from March Madness. Seems insane to me. It seems insane to me that freaking February is right behind the door. Yeah, that's what I have for you guys tonight for Tommy Town College Talk. And then, wanted to give yet again a shout out to UNRL, Athleisure Company. You guys, we've shouted them out a million times. I'll shout them out a million times more. If you don't know, go check them out, UNRL.com. This is their new ultra hooded long sleeve that I got. You can see it's right up here. I'm not kidding you. When I sit, they're not paying me. And every single thing of them I own is some of the most comfiest clothes I have. Like I said, it's kind of that athleisure clothes that you can kind of dress up, dress down. This is, so like I said, their ultra hooded long sleeve. I love it. It's nice. It's breathable. It's thin. I personally got a large. I do like their mediums, but their mediums are just a little tighter fitting on me. And when I'm wearing clothes like this, I like it to be like a little bit lighter on me. I'm about 5'6". It kind of bunches up a little bit, but again, I kind of like the room to breathe feel rather than it kind of being, constricting my range of motion. So yeah, like I said, go check them out. UNRL.com. They have some amazing things. They have some drops that they did this last year with the Vikings. A couple of them, they still have some stuff on. And then if you're not interested in what they have, stuff for men's, women's, and youths. They are actually coming out with their springtime 25 collection in T-minus 10 days, just over 10 days here. So I obviously can't wait for that. So you guys got to go check it out. Make an account, I would recommend, because as you spend money, you get points and points off. And then the more money you spend with them, the higher you can go up with tiers, which is kind of cool. You get birthday points and some really cool things. So like I said, they have things for men, women, kids. Like I said, as far as athleisure is concerned, this is arguably my favorite company to get stuff from. It's not super, super cheap, but it is going to be a little, it's not super cheap. It's not super expensive, but it is going to be a little bit cheaper than your Lulus, than your Athletica, and that kind of stuff too. So definitely go check them out if you haven't. You can also find them on Facebook, X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So go check them out. So now for our spit it out. Now for our professional sports. First up, the Minnesota Wild. So I posted a story a couple of days ago or something like that, and I forgot to screenshot it. So I apologize for not knowing who to shout out, but a couple of you did reach out in terms of hockey specifically, asking, where's the All-Star game and what's this thing called the Four Nations Faceoff? So The short answer is this year there will be no all-star game. It's being replaced with this Four Nations Faceoff. And essentially, short answer, what it is, it's the NHL's. The NHL is essentially marketing this year, this Four Nations Faceoff, as we're back and we're gonna allow the NHL players to play in Olympic Games once again, coming back in 2026 here, which is pretty cool. So that's what that is. And then the longer one is, or the longer answer, sorry, I don't know what's going on with me, is what is it, kind of what's the format. And it's going to be held from February 12th to the 20th in Montreal and Boston, with teams of NHL players, only NHL players from Finland, Sweden, Canada, and the US competing in a round robin tournament. Each team will consist of 13 forwards. 13 forwards, that's it? Okay. 13 forwards, 7 defensemen, and 3 goalies. This will be the first best on best tournament since the World Cup of Hockey in 2016 in Toronto. So this is how format and schedule is going to look. All games will be played in accordance with NHL rules. Each team will play 3 tournament games in traditional round robin format under the following point system: 3 points for a regulation win, 2 points for a overtime or shootout loss, 1 point for a win, 1 point for a loss in overtime or shootout, 0 points for that. Then after all those round robin games are done, the 2 teams with the best tournament record will then advance to the 1 game final. You can go to nhl.com/Four Nations for more information. But then this will be the kind of vague schedule. I'm not going to give you every game, but it's going to kick off with Canada and Sweden kicking each other's butts at 7 o'clock our time on the 12th. And then on the 13th, we will be taking on Finland at 8. And then on Saturday the 15th, we will be taking on Canada at 8 Eastern. Sorry, I don't know why I said 8 Eastern. 7 o'clock, both those games. And then our final game will be against Sweden at 8 on the 17th. And then should we be one of the top 2 points, which I hope to God we are, we will be playing in the championship game on February 20th, at 7 p.m. And then, if you guys were wondering, Jack, are there any Minnesota Wild players being represented in this? Yes, 5 actually. None on Team Canada, none on Team Finland, but Team Sweden will have Joel Eriksson Ek on it, Jonas Brodin, and Philip Gustafsson. And then for Team United States, we'll have Matt Boldy and Brock Faber. So a huge congratulations to those 5 guys. I can't wait to see these guys in action. It's going to be super fun to watch. It's going to be super fun to be rooting for the United States, and it should be pretty fun. As far as our Wild are concerned, yes, it is true. Bill Guerin came out, was it yesterday or late Tuesday night, saying that Kirill Kaprizov is going to be out for about another month. Yes, he's going under the knife. He's going to have surgery, but Bill Guerin was very clear that it's not season ending. And despite him going in for surgery, he's still going to be week to week. Despite them anticipating he's going to be out for about a month. The silver lining for this all is, like we just talked about with the Four Nations Faceoff. If it's a month, 4 weeks, he's only going to be out for 10 games. We had a good, awesome win tonight over Toronto without him, which was amazing to see. Toronto is obviously one of the best teams in the league. But then between now and when the Four Seasons kicks off, we have Montreal, Ottawa, Boston, Carolina, and the Islanders before we have the break. And then after the break, we have after the break, we have Detroit twice. Sorry, 2, 3, 4. Detroit twice. And then Utah. In theory, if he only misses 4 weeks, in theory, he could be back again for that Utah game on the 27th. But if he's to miss all games in February, I think that's 11 or 12 games. So again, if I wasn't already seeing this consistency of our guys stepping up in his absence, I'd probably be worried. But the fact that we've been playing the way we've been playing, his team hasn't lost more than 3 consecutive games in a row all season. No, we haven't gone on any crazy, 8, 9, 7-game winning streaks, but we're getting points, we're winning, and we're staying, as one of the best teams. I mean, still tonight after our win over Toronto, we're still third place in the Central Division, 1 point behind Dallas and talking Jets. But then in the conference, other than those two teams, there's only Winnipeg, there's only Edmonton, the Golden Knights, so we're the fifth best team in the Western Conference. And then in the entire NHL, there's only two additional teams. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're the seventh best team in the nation, and that's without having Kirill Kaprizov for 13, 14 games. And the fact that we're able to do this without Kirill for that amount of time is impressive. And again, it's a testament to the talent we have on this team outside of Kaprizov. It's not to take away from him, but it's to say, hey, when we have a guy out, we're still able to get shit done and win games. So, pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. So, yeah, like I said, got a big win tonight over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Gustafsson, again, Dan said it best. We've been getting great goaltending from Philip Gustafsson this year, and is clearly a big, huge reason for why we've been able to get so many wins. And I can't help but think if we were to play Fleury a couple fewer games, we might have a couple more wins. But hey, a guy like that, you want to play as much as you possibly can. It's his last year, and then he's going to retire, so you want to try to help him get those numbers up and all that fun stuff. I get it. But yeah, coming up, we will be in this game against Toronto is the second of a 4-game road trip. So we are in Montreal tomorrow night, Thursday the 30th at 6, on Saturday in Ottawa at 6, and then Tuesday the 4th will be in Boston. So that's what we got on the docket for the Wild. For the Timberwolves, very similar to the Wild, big win tonight over the Phoenix Suns, currently riding a 4-game winning streak, also winning 6 of their last 7 games. And, unfortunately, this team kind of dug themselves a little bit of a hole as, I shouldn't even say, I'm even hesitant to say that. I think, that despite this team not starting and not being as good as people anticipated them being with this trade, I think this is less a testament of the hole they've dug and more of a testament to teams like Houston, Oklahoma City, and even Memphis have been so much better this year than people anticipated. And I don't want people to get lost on the fact that, okay, we're third in our division, 7th at the conclusion of all of tonight's basketball games. We're currently third in our division, 7th in the Western Conference. But don't get it twisted. I was watching this game tonight, and with how this Timberwolves team has been playing, it's kind of strategic. We're sitting at 26-21, so it's not like we're 37-9 like the Thunder are, or 31-16 like the Grizzlies are. But we have games over important teams. We currently have tiebreakers with the Clippers and the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets and the Memphis Grizzlies. Those are the 4 teams that sit between us right now and the 2nd seed. And again, the Oklahoma City Thunder, you got to give them credit when credit's due. We're 11.5 games behind them. But you want to know what's pretty crazy? We're only one game behind essentially the 5th seed. We're 2 behind from the 4th seed, and we're 5 points behind from the 3rd seed. So right now, that number 1 seed, it seems far away, but in reality, it's there's gonna need to be work to be done to get that number 1 seed. Like Joe and I predicted at the beginning of the season. Not only are we going to have to go on some crazy winning streak and kind of get our stuff rolling, but we're also going to need to get some help from the Thunder and have them lose games too. So again, baby steps, 1 game at a time. Just got to keep playing good ball. And then I just thought we dissect this game tonight a little bit against the Phoenix. It did not look great in that first half. Nobody tweeted at me about this game, but I saw a lot of people saying, fuck this Timberwolves team, back to their old shit, not shooting big threes. And kind of 2 main things I wanted to say about this. Everybody is that, and as much as I love my brother and I love my friends, I do have some friends who are more casual basketball fans, and they're very quick to say, oh my God, we're down 12 in the first half. This sucks. Holy shit, we're so bad. It's like, I get it. Like, you never want your team to be down that bad, but one of the things that I cannot say and echo enough to casual basketball fans is basketball is a game of runs. You want your team to be on the final run of that game. So what I mean by that is the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight beat the Phoenix Suns, 121 to 113. And in the fourth quarter alone, or in the third quarter alone, sorry, we outscored them 26 to 18. We went on a crazy from what's that? With 4 minutes to go, we outscored this team 15 to 6 throughout all of this adversity. And they didn't start off great. After the first quarter, we were down by 7 and we went into halftime. I guess we started cutting away at that going into halftime, but that second half we were a better team, and that's the important part. You don't anticipate. You're not always going to, as much as I'd like it to, you're not always going to watch games of the Minnesota Timberwolves and see them playing amazing wire-to-wire basketball for 48 minutes. The team is to get better. Like, if you have a crappy or a really good first quarter, you want them to continue to get better, because even the best of teams, if you have a good first quarter, you still probably had a couple costly turnovers, which leads me into some of my points from this game. 2 things this team needs to do better at, and then I think the sky's going to be the limit for us. Anthony Edwards needs to do a better job, and we saw as the game went on that he progressively did get better. He needs to do a better job of getting out of double teams quickly and effectively. When he gets locked down by double teams, that's when you see him frazzled. He'll get a turnover, stuff like that. Like, I understand this kid is young. Excuse me. But I was reading an article on him, I think about a week and a half ago, about Anthony Edwards being frustrated with himself with the amount of double teams he's seeing, because he's an unbelievable player, rightly so. Tell you what, if I was the coach of any other 32 teams against us, I would have Anthony Edwards looking at double teams all fucking game. But that's beside the point. And I heard that he reached out to Michael Jordan about how to deal with it. And I think that's a great idea. But I think he's got to do a better job of getting out of them. I think, it's easier said than done, but the dude's 6'5". Like, he should be able to have the awareness that, okay, if I have a double team coming from this side, guy over here, boom, feed it, and you want to try feed it to him. You need to be strategic about it, but you want to try feed it to him before the 2 guys are right on you, instead of just kind of coming over to you and breaking that up sooner than later, because one of 2 things are going to happen. One, you're going to be able to keep kicking the ball around until somebody gets an open look to drive or shoot, or you get it back and the guy backs up and then you get the ball back and then you're able to, take that jump step and take that guy one-on-one, drive the lane. So, if he can continue to, and again, we saw him get better at that throughout the game. He struggled with that and had some bad fucking turnovers in the first half. But in the second half, he looked like those double teams weren't phasing him at all, which is good. That's what you want. So, yeah, like I said, that, and it sounded like somebody was watching my, it sounds like somebody that was watching my, around the time of this game, was recently watching my, I can't remember what podcast it was, but when we were talking about what we would do to change the NBA, because he referenced my 3-point thing, and he said, kind of called me out and said, you think there's too many threes being taken when the Wolves are missing them, and then you actually do love it when we're making them, huh? And fuck no, like, I still stand by my statement that there are just way too many 3-point shots being taken, period. I mean, shit, we shot 29 3-point shots. We made 13 of them. Not terrible, but, that's a lot of fucking 3-pointers. The Phoenix Suns shot 32. They made 12 of them. So again, it's not that I think, shooting a lot of 3-point shots is bad. I just think you got to be smart about them. I think, like I said, we've been doing better in these recent games, weirdly enough, since I made that podcast saying we got to do better in these tightly contested games. We got to do better in these tightly contested games and win more of these close games down the stretch, because you're not always going to be blowing guys out. We need to lock in, not make too many, not force these contested 3-point shots. We're shooting way too many of those. I understand Anthony Edwards is getting better at his 3-point shooting, but I think a lot of these young players forget that, hey, if you're good enough, you can drive the lane and still get a 3-point play and 3 points without shooting 30 feet out there. Drive the lane, pull up for a mid-range jumper, try to draw a foul, make it an interesting game. I don't want to see teams shooting 35 to 50 3-point shots a game. Even if you're wide open, sometimes, yeah, most of the time shoot it. But it's like if you're not a good 3-point shooter and you have an open look at a three, Shaquille O'Neal, for instance, if you got an open look at the 3-point line, doesn't mean you got to fucking shoot it. So just be smart with it. And, again, no, like even when we're making them, I do enjoy it. But I still think the league as a whole and the Timberwolves as a whole shoot too many 3-point shots. But beside the point. So, like I said, and I can't remember if I brought it up last week, but the Timberwolves have a really good opportunity here coming up on All-Star break to go on a little bit of run. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games left before All-Star break. And again, we have a legitimate chance. Our 4-game win streak could easily progress to 5, 6, 7, 8 games before we got to play Houston, but they're beatable. Portland's beatable. Cleveland is really good, but Milwaukee is beatable, and Oklahoma City's really good. So theoretically, in these last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games before the break, there's no reason we can't go 7-2 at the worst, 9-0. Then even if you go 7-2 heading into the break, you're putting yourselves at a position where you're 33-23, and then you're starting to kind of pull away from the pack because I'm going to be honest with you guys. Post All-Star game, people talk about those stats all the time, and you really want to be clicking on all your cylinders. And we're going to have a tough go coming out of that because we got to go to Houston. We got a home and home with Oklahoma City. Then we got to go to LA. So those are going to be 4 tough games coming out of All-Star break. So we want our guys rested, and we want to be playing really good basketball going into those couple games there. So super excited. And then the last thing I wanted to address before we move on to NFL was trades. So the NBA trade deadline is coming up. I can't remember what time it's at, but it's on a week from today. I think it's like the afternoon, 3 or 4 something, maybe 5 something Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, February 6th. I'll say this. I don't anticipate us making a trade, but I also wouldn't be surprised. Again, the team has, the talent. Let's just take a look at the stats here. This team has the talent. We have the young stars. We saw Jalen Clark play outstanding defense tonight. He got rewarded by that with, just minutes on minutes tonight. But we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. We have 6 players right now currently averaging at least 10 points per game. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Nasri, Dante DiVincenzo, Jade McDaniels, and Rudy Gobert. Nikhil Alexander Walker and Mike Conley are right there with 8.3, 8.0. And again, every single guy I just mentioned too are great defenders too. So this team has the shooting, it has the playmakers, it has the defense, it has everything you want. It's a matter of, like I said, playing sound basketball, going on runs, making smart plays down the stretch, and just doing your job and finishing the games and just getting the wins. It doesn't always go your way, and no team has ever and will ever go 82-0, so you're going to lose some games. But obviously, I think I speak for a lot of fans when at this point I would say, if we could have even been even at this point, if we were 30 and even if we were like 31 at this point and what would that be, 31 and 15, that would be a world of difference right now. We'd probably be looking at the 3rd or 4th seed, still contending, and again, that's only a 6-game difference. But yeah, I got hope for this team. Like I said, I think, our best is yet to come, and we're still on a 4-game winning streak right now. So can't wait to see what comes down the road for this team. And yeah, now we have the Super Bowl settled and ready to go for February 9th. And I could not be more upset about it. This is the one scenario I did not want to happen. In a perfect world, I would have had Washington and Buffalo. I even would have been okay with Philadelphia, Buffalo, and Washington and Kansas City. That way, I at least had one team I could root for. Now, if I were to be somewhere on my birthday that didn't have a TV, or if I were to be somewhere on the Super Bowl that didn't have a TV, I wouldn't be all that upset. I would not be all that upset because now I'm looking at having. I mean, I don't even know that I even root for a team. I mean, because this is two evils. I either gotta watch the Kansas City Chiefs fucking three-peat, and for the next 10 years, hear about their dynasty and how great they are, and getting benefited by all the fucking penalties. We're gonna get into that in a minute. Or I gotta listen about the Philadelphia fucking Eagles, who have arguably the worst fan base I have ever seen. I've said it a handful of times, and I'll say it again. I lost so much respect for that team and their fan base after they beat us in Philadelphia, and they continue to throw shit and act like we beat them. Just gross. I would probably put as a football and Vikings fan, Dallas, Green Bay, and Philadelphia, three worst fan bases in the planet, or in the NFL, anyways. So yeah, frankly, don't really give a shit who wins. We'll be upset with either of them, honestly. But like I said, let's take a look into this Buffalo and Kansas City game. Well, Jack, the Kansas City Chiefs won fair and square, didn't they? You would think. I've heard so many people talking about, well, the Bills had a couple turnovers. It could have been, and they had some blunders down the stretch. Whoever's saying the Bills had turnovers in this game is a fucking moron. I'm looking at the stats right now. Yeah, Josh Allen might have fumbled the ball on a sack, but he got that ball back. That doesn't count as a turnover. The Bills had 0 turnovers that entire game. The Kansas City Chiefs had 1. Now, let me paint this picture for you. In this game, the Kansas City Chiefs were penalized 5 times for 21 yards. Buffalo Bills were only, they were only penalized 6 times to Kansas City's 5 times. Except they were penalized 6 times, 48 yards. 48 yards. Just insane to me. Nobody really reached out about this, but one thing I want to say is I do not believe that the NFL is rigged, but I think there is favoritism. Clear as day. You could, like, on that 4th and 1 that ended the Buffalo Bills' essentially chance of tying it or winning the game. He clear as day got that first down. The ball didn't end up past the line of scrimmage because he kept getting pushed back, but forward progress put him past that line. And the fact that the ball was here and all the players were over here, the fact that this guy over here that had a better look at it than that guy came in and marked him slightly above it, and the guy that his fat ass couldn't see shit came up and did this. Like, there were two cameras that showed the ball got past the line of scrimmage or got to the line. At the very least, they should have. Yeah, I don't see how that isn't called. Again, I am very much, if that happens, that doesn't mean the Buffalo Bills win, but it gives them a chance to. And it is fucking bullshit that time and time again, the stupid Kansas City Chiefs team gets these, it's not these opposing teams are getting, penalized 20 times to Kansas City's 5 times, but it's these little plays down the stretch when the game's close that just are like these 1 or 2 plays that you go back to and you say that's the reason the game. And I want to say this, I really do like Julian Edelman. He was on a couple New England Patriots teams that very similar to the Kansas City Chiefs team. I was like, fuck them, I don't care about them. As a player, he was very good. And as a person, post-football, I've come to hear a lot about him in podcasting. And I'm like, holy shit, this is a really articulate, really, nice guy, knows his stuff. But for him to say, oh, people are just trying to tear him down, we've been there, done that too. He's only saying that because he was in this exact same position himself. They are definitely getting preferential treatment calls, and it's bullshit. And the league needs to do something about it. Or else, myself included, people could stop watching some of these games because this is fucking ridiculous to see week after week after week, these, especially in key games, this team getting preferential calls. Don't believe me? Let me hit you with some stats again. So, here it is. You know the rules, and so do I. The ESPN graphic that Sharp Football did a deep dive into this going into the Bills game. So these stats and these numbers don't reflect the Bills as well, or that Bills game that we just saw this last weekend. So this is numbers based off of the Chiefs playoff penalties since 2021. In that time period, the Kansas City Chiefs have been penalized 36 times, for 319 yards. That seems reasonable, doesn't it? Their opponents have been penalized 66 times in that same time span for 541 yards. 10 of those times, their opponents was penalized more, had more penalties in the game than them, and only one time in that time period did the Chiefs have more penalty yards than their opponent. And they still are about to go and try to fucking three-peat. So, again, I do not believe the NFL is rigged, but I think there is preferential treatment. And it's weird to see some of these no-name teams get some preferential treatment, but it's especially fucking unthinkable and so annoying to see Kansas City getting preferential call after call after call. And for anybody out there that's just saying, oh, I'm being butthurt, I'm not. Like, I love the game of football. Like, if the Kansas City Chiefs are really the best team out there, give fucking Josh Allen that fourth down conversion. Let him see what he can do. It's unbelievable the amount of times that this kid, Patrick Mahomes and fucking Travis Kelce, have just gotten bailed out, and their defense has gotten bailed out by blatant missed calls, and then just getting free plays gifted from the officials too. I don't need to get any more down this rabbit hole, but it is annoying. I think I speak for a lot of fans when I say this needs to stop. And we're actually going to get more into this. We have a couple other podcasts lined up next week. We're going to be on with a guest previewing the Super Bowl specifically. So don't want to do too much else here with the Super Bowl and with these teams. And then after the Super Bowl, I actually have another one planned for how I think you can fix the officiating. But I'll give you guys a little teaser here right now. I think Roger Goodell's got to stop being, whatever you want to call him, and stop pussyfooting around this. Make NFL officials full-time. Make it happen. And then you can hold these guys accountable. They can devote more time to this and go from there. So, yeah, that is what I have for you guys tonight. That's what I have for you guys tonight. It's been a fun podcast. Like I said, we'll be on next week with a guest previewing the Super Bowl, and then we will have some other news in that podcast as well. And then do not worry. I know I showed you guys out a couple weeks ago when the pick'ems ended. I will reach out to all you guys and get you your merch for winning as well. As always, until next time, Mini.